money, power, and privilege. In India, those words don't just open doors. Sometimes they close cases. They can rewrite stories, silence victims, and manipulate the truth. But not always. This is one such case where the wheels of justice, though slow and bent under influence, refused to stop turning. This is the tragic story of the Pune Porsche crash, a story that shook a nation and revealed just how far some people will go to escape consequences. What should have been an open and shut case of driving drunk and negligence turned into a web of lies, bribery, and cover-ups. But no matter how deep the conspiracies run, the truth has a way of surfacing. And in this episode of House of Crimes, we're going to uncover every detail, unfiltered, uncompromised, and raw. From WhatsApp messages exchanged by conspirators to CCTV footage of bribes, from falsified evidence to the chilling accounts of eyewitnesses, this is the real story of the Pune Porsche case. It all begins on May 16th, 2024. A 17-year-old boy steps out to celebrate his high school graduation. Sounds innocent, doesn't it? The boy, who remains unnamed for legal reasons, he is with two friends driving a gray Porsche Taycan, a car worth crores of rupees, unregistered and without a number plate. Their first stop is Cozy Pub in Koregaon Park. The valet offers to park the Porsche, but the boy refuses. Moments later, a modest car arrives. His family driver called in specifically to follow him around. The driver parks the Porsche while the three boys go inside. They order food and drinks, spending rupees 50,000. 70% of the drinks are hard liquor, illegal to be served to anyone under the age of 25. Remember, the legal drinking age in the state of Maharashtra is 21. The 17-year-old has no business being served alcohol at all. But his grandfather's loaded credit card erases that rule. The night doesn't stop there. At 12:30 a.m., the three boys move to Black Hotel, another elite club in Koregaon Park. But they are turned away because they are not members. Minutes later, they convince the bouncer to let them into the nearby Chorizo restaurant. Once inside, they sneak into Black Hotel anyway, have more drinks, and leave around 2 a.m. Outside, the driver begs the boy to let him drive, but the boy refuses. He takes the wheel, his friends sit in the back, and the helpless driver has no choice but to sit in the passenger seat. Remember this, the boy doesn't even have a driver's license. Driving without a license is a serious offense, and yet he speeds into the night with no regard for safety. But what happens next will change everyone's lives forever. It's 2:30 a.m. On the other side of the town, 5 friends, Anish Awadhya, Ashwini Costa, Akib Mullah, Aman Kumar Kundra, and Isha Jaju, are heading home after their own modest celebration at Valar Hotel. Anish and Ashwini, both colleagues at the same company, are riding on a Pulsar motorbike. Akib and the others are ahead on their own motorbikes. Near Kalyani Nagar Road, the Porsche speeds past Akib. Just seconds later, the silence of the night is shattered. A loud metallic crash. The Porsche, hurling at a 150 kilometers per hour, crashes into the Pulsar bike. Akib turns just in time to see his friend's bike crushed. Witnesses later recall the horrific scene. Ashwini is flung into the air before slamming into the ground. Anish is thrown and skids into a red Maruti Swift car. Blood pools on the ground as bystanders rush to help, but the damage is done. Vital Yadav, an eyewitness who worked at a nearby restaurant, recounts the horror. Ashwini and Anish are badly injured, both barely conscious. Inside the Porsche, airbags deploy, but nothing can cushion the aftermath of the crash. Witnesses swarm the vehicle. The boy is found in the driver's seat, drunk, disoriented. His friends, the family driver, are with him, but the crowd is furious. They hold them in place, preventing any escape. By 2:45 a.m., the police arrive. Ashwini and Anish are rushed to a private hospital in an auto rickshaw, but it's too late. Anish is declared brought dead at 2:50 a.m. Ashwini just 2 minutes later. 2 lives full of dreams and promise are gone, cut short by someone who had everything except responsibility. This wasn't just an accident. This was vehicular homicide, the reckless and unlawful killing of 2 innocent people. And yet, we've seen this before, haven't we? A similar tragedy played out in the Salman Khan hit and run case of 2002. The Bollywood actor, drunk and speeding in his SUV, ran over homeless people sleeping on a Mumbai pavement, killing 1 and injuring 4. Despite the overwhelming evidence, years of trials, and public outcry, Salman Khan walked away scot-free, with his driver taking the blame. 22 years later, here we are again with the Pune Porsche case. It feels like history repeating itself. 2 lives were stolen in seconds, and for what? The arrogance of wealth and the refusal to follow basic laws that are only applicable to others, but not the rich and famous. But this story doesn't end with a crash. No. What followed was not justice. What followed was a desperate attempt to save the boy. The police take the boy, his friends, and the driver into custody. They're all brought to the Yerwada police station, an already chaotic scene. And that's when the story takes its first twist. At 3 a.m., MLA Sunil Tingre arrives at the station, claiming to be a family friend. But is that the truth? Was he really there just out of concern for a friend, or was he there to pull strings to shield the boy from the consequences of his reckless actions? Despite his promises of non-interference, everything starts to change. The next morning, 8:26 a.m., Akib Mullah, one of the friends of Ashwini and Anish, files an FIR against the 17-year-old accused in the crash. The charges are serious, spanning 5 sections of the Indian Penal Code, including rash driving, negligence, and causing death by a negligent act. But there is a problem. It's been 7 hours since the accident, and the boy's blood test, crucial to confirm alcohol consumption, it hasn't been done yet. 7 hours of delay. And in those hours, time has opened the door for influence to cloud the truth. At 9:40 a.m., Tassoon Government Hospital becomes the backdrop for what seems like a conspiracy. MLA Sunil Tingre's aide, Ashfaq Makandar, and a middleman, Amar Gaikwad, arrive at the hospital. Not in the open, but in the parking lot. They meet with a hospital employee there. A packet changes hands. Cash stuffed into the hospital employee's two-wheeler. This isn't speculation, by the way. This is all documented in the police charge sheet. Minutes later, at 10:15 a.m., an assistant police inspector calls a constable. The hospital has instructed the police to bring the 4 accused, the boy, his 2 friends, and the driver, for a blood test. At 10:30 a.m., the accused boys and the driver arrive at Sassoon Hospital. But pay attention to what happens next. The driver, already at the center of the storm, is taken to the emergency ward. He is examined publicly. His blood sample collected without any issue. At 11:07 a.m., MLA Tingre's aide, Ashfaq Makandar, walks into the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Srihari Halnor's cabin. He spends 5 minutes inside. When he leaves, he makes a 1-minute and 24-second phone call to the head of the forensic medicine, Dr. Ajay Tavre. And here's where it gets fishy. A series of calls are exchanged between the MLA's aide, the head of the forensic medicine, and the chief medical officer. What were they discussing? The police report doesn't say, but the timing speaks for itself. At 11:40 a.m., the 3 accused boys are led into the chief medical officer's cabin for their physical examination. But unlike the public examination of the driver, theirs takes place behind closed doors. Here's where the charge sheet shines a light on something alarming. The chief medical officer tells his staff that before blood samples can be drawn, he needs permission from the boys' parents. Conveniently, the parents are already waiting outside, and within moments, the permission is granted. 2 medical interns are then instructed to collect blood, but there is a catch. They are not drawing blood from the accused boys. You see, the chief medical officer's cabin has 2 rooms. The outer room is visible to anyone passing by, but the inner room, hidden from cameras, that becomes the scene of the swap. Blood samples are quietly taken, not from the accused boys, but from adults. By 12:25 p.m., the 3 boys enter the cabin one by one, each accompanied by a parent or relative. Behind closed doors, the blood samples are drawn, but those samples don't belong to the accused. The MLA's aide, the hospital officials, and the flood of phone calls, it all adds up to one horrifying conclusion. The blood test is rigged. Inside the chief medical officer's cabin, Blood samples were swapped. Adults, relatives of the accused, gave their blood while the boys sat just outside the door, none the wiser. This deceit was organized with surgical precision. By 12:25 p.m., the plan is complete. The blood samples handed over to the police don't belong to the boys. They belong to their relatives who willingly participated in the cover-up. The manipulated blood samples are sent to the regional forensic lab in Pune. The boys and the driver are then taken back to the Yerwada police station, but by now the media has caught wind of the crash. Outside the station, reporters gather eager for the latest developments. Between 2 and 2:30 p.m., something strange happens. The reporters spot the Porsche Taycan and the Pulsar bike involved in the crash parked outside the police station, and there are two Mercedes-Benz cars parked nearby. A man steps out of one of the Mercedes, holding pizza boxes. He walks into the police station, casually handing the pizzas to the accused boys, and there, in a chilling image that burns into the minds of everyone watching, the accused boy is seen sitting in the assistant commissioner of police's chair. The boy, the crash, the cover-up, it's all playing out in front of the public eye with no one in authority seeming to care. By evening, the physical examination reports are released. The findings, they are nothing short of shocking. Signed by the chief medical officer, the report reads, "No smell of alcohol from the boys' mouth. Their speech and behavior were normal. No signs of alcohol consumption in their eyes. It's as if the crash, the destruction, the lives lost never happened." Despite the growing public outrage, the accused is granted bail by the Juvenile Justice Board. The conditions, they are almost laughable. Boy's grandfather promises to keep him away from bad company. Boy will focus on studies and extracurricular activities. For 15 days, he will learn traffic rules at an RTO office and attend counseling. He must write a 300-word essay on road safety. And just like that, the accused walks free. On May 20th, a WhatsApp group is created. The participants, the boy's parents, his grandfather, and 3 lawyers. Every detail of the case is discussed and plotted here. At 4:11 p.m., the boy's mother sends a chilling message. No matter who was driving, it doesn't matter. The driver was in the car, so the accident was the driver's fault. This message says it all. A family armed with privilege, lawyers and influence doing everything in their power to rewrite the narrative. That night, the family's driver, the one already blamed for the crash, is summoned by the boy's grandfather. Forced into a BMW, he is driven into the family's bungalow. Inside, the boy's father and grandfather seize his phone, lock him up in a room, and begin the pressure. They demand that he take the blame, that he confess to the police that he was the one driving the Porsche that night. So the innocent driver is locked away, his freedom hanging by a thread as the tension rises. The family won't let this go so easily. But then a new player enters the scene, desperate and frantic. The driver's wife arrives at the bungalow, demanding her husband's release. After a chaotic scene, the family finally accepts defeat, and the driver is set free. But this isn't the end of the cover up. With their initial plan to blame the driver falling apart, boy's family shifts tactics. This time, they decide to throw the car itself into the mix, claiming there was a malfunction, something technical that caused the deadly crash. To back up their story, they produce screenshots from a WhatsApp conversation between the boy and the car dealer, dated 2 months before the accident. In the messages, the boy complains about the Porsche's key and lock malfunctioning, saying it wasn't unlocking properly. The technician advises that a part needs to be replaced. A curious coincidence or a desperate attempt to divert blame. But the plot thickens. Amid the turmoil, the boy's father is arrested, but not for the crash itself. No, he's arrested for the fact that his own son had been driving without a license. And as the investigation unfolds, the web of lies and cover-ups begins to unravel. Meanwhile, the owners of cozy and black pubs where the boys had been drinking are charged for serving alcohol to underage customers. The fallout from that fateful night has only just begun. The case intensifies. On the evening of May 21st, the boy is summoned to the police station for further questioning. His lawyer advises him to play the victim. He's scared, the lawyer argues. He needs counseling and to be with his parents under Article 21. He has a right to remain silent. But this doesn't stop the media. The case is being torn apart in the press. Public outrage boils over when the boy is granted a 15-hour bail despite the severity of the accident. The Juvenile Justice Board, responding to the backlash, revokes the boy's bail the very next day. Now, cornered, the boy changes his story. He claims it wasn't him behind the wheel during the crash. It was the driver. The two other boys in the car back up his statement. The driver is brought in for questioning and he is put through the ringer. But just as the investigation intensifies, something strange happened. At 11 a.m. the next day, a WhatsApp message arrives from the boy's mother. He writes, "I want the media to know what trauma my son is going through. He is a child and nothing has been proven. The driver was in the case, but why isn't anyone talking about him?" Then, in a chilling twist, the boy's grandfather enters the picture. He suggests holding a press conference to shift the blame. "Let's tell them the victims were drunk and stepped in front of the car because of overspeeding." And just like that, the narrative begins to shift. The grandfather claims the driver has admitted to being behind the wheel and insists that the car itself malfunctioned. But that's not all. He wants to get his hands on the CCTV footage from the pub to prove that the victims had been drinking before the crash. He even talks about retrieving bills for the food and the drinks the victims consumed. The strategy is clear. Everything and everyone except the boy will be blamed. Meanwhile, the police continue their investigation, relentless in their pursuit of the truth. Kind of. The driver, now fully cooperating, tells them everything. The pressure, the bribery from the boy's father and grandfather, the orchestrated attempt to cover up the real story. The truth, it seems, is slipping through their fingers. No matter how hard they tried to hold on to the lies. It was a blatant, orchestrated manipulation of the system. And yet, the truth shall not stay buried for too long. The Pune police commissioner reveals to the media that they have secured CCTV footage of the boy drinking in the pub with his friends. The commissioner also confirms that the boy's family has been pressuring the driver to cover for them. It's the 25th of May, 2024, when the unthinkable happens. The boy's grandfather, who had been a key figure in orchestrating the cover up, is arrested. But this is only the beginning of a much larger scandal that's about to erupt. As the police continue their investigation, more shocking details emerge. A week has passed since the blood swapping incident in the hospital, and now the public gets wind of the scandal. It's revealed that the blood samples of the minor involved in the accident had been switched with those of another individual who had not consumed alcohol. The police commissioner, now speaking directly to the media, unveils a chilling detail. This elaborate plan to manipulate the blood test results was executed right under the nose of the public. But to fully understand the depth of this conspiracy, we need to take a step back and look at what happened days before. It's the morning of May 19, and the boy, his two friends, and the driver are all in Sassoon Hospital, where their blood samples are being taken under the supervision of Chief Medical Officer Dr. Halnor. But by 6 p.m. that evening, the boy is transported to another hospital for another blood test, as the police want to ensure no tampering or manipulation. The police commissioner later states that this move was made specifically to prevent any interference with the samples. But the results of the second blood test are damning. The first report says that the boy had no alcohol in his blood. But the second report reveals significant alcohol presence. This discrepancy raises red flags, and the police begin to suspect foul play. The investigation takes a decisive turn when the police on May 21 conduct a DNA test on both blood samples at the regional forensic lab. The results are conclusive. The DNA of both samples doesn't match. Something had gone terribly wrong at Sassoon Hospital. As the investigation deepens, the truth begins to unfold. The police discover that Ashfaq Makandar, an aide to a local MLA, had found a middleman to help the boy's family. This middleman had connections to the head of the forensic department at Sassoon Hospital. He traveled to Kalyani Nagar to collect money from the boy's father, which was then used to bribe hospital staff to carry out the blood swap. The police's suspicions are confirmed when a medical student who had known Dr. Ajay, the middleman, he cooperates with the investigation. The intern doctor reveals that Dr. Ajay gave him 2.5 lakh rupees to store for him, claiming he didn't have enough space to keep the money. The student eventually cooperates with the investigation and hands over the money to Pune Crime Branch. But that's not all. The investigation uncovers even more layers of corruption. The bribe wasn't just paid to the forensic department. The chief medical officer himself received a bribe of 2.5 lakh rupees, and the police managed to recover his money as well. The investigation takes a further twist when other doctors and medical residents are questioned about what happened behind the scenes at the hospital. One doctor who worked in the hospital's emergency ward gives a critical statement. He explains that on the afternoon of May 19, the chief medical officer had asked him to take a blood sample from the accused boy's mother. When the doctor questioned why the mother's blood sample was needed, the chief medical officer replied that the head of forensic department had ordered it. The doctor, sensing something was off, refused to take the sample. The chief medical officer then sought out another doctor who was asked to take a blood sample from a woman in green clothes. This doctor followed through with the request, but when she left the office, she realized something wasn't right. The police later confirmed that the medical officer had disposed of the boy's blood samples and substituted them with those of an adult. The police uncovered the web of bribes, doctors implicated, and the boy's family pulling every string. As the days pass, the investigation into the car itself continues. On May 30, the Porsche dealership in Mumbai provides a report confirming the car's speed at the time of the accident. The Porsche's data recorder showed no brake issues and proved that the car was speeding at 110 kilometers per hour at the time of the crash. By June 1st, 2024, the boy's mother is arrested in connection with the blood swapping scandal. She's been complicit in the cover-up, playing a pivotal role in the orchestration of the deceit. This case doesn't just expose privilege and power. It also highlights how weak India's road safety system is. Over 1.5 lakh people die in road accidents every year in India. That's almost 17 lives lost every hour. Most accidents happen because of overspeeding, underage driving, and drunk driving. In this case, a 17-year-old was drinking illegally and driving illegally without a driver's license. Where was the enforcement? How does an unregistered luxury car like the Porsche Taycan even make it to the roads without scrutiny? How does a 17-year-old drive an unregistered luxury car in the first place? How are underage boys served hard liquor at multiple establishments? And why do we let such things happen repeatedly? Rules exist, but enforcement is weak. It's not just about this one incident, it's about a system that allows such incidents to happen again and again. This case reminds us of a sad reality. Laws exist, but they are only followed when it's convenient. And the cost of this negligence, innocent lives. By the end of June, the police submit a massive 900-page charge sheet. This document becomes the foundation of this true crime story, detailing every step of the cover-up, from WhatsApp messages to CCTV footage. The boy's family, doctors, and middlemen are all arrested for tampering with evidence, bribery, and corruption. The first arrest happens on May 25, 2024. Surendra Agarwal, the 17-year-old accused's grandfather. He is charged under laws relating to kidnapping and wrongful confinement. Agarwal allegedly forced the family's driver to falsely confess to driving the car during the accident. Later, he is released on bail. Next, tension turns to the boy's parents. Vishal Agarwal, the boy's father, a builder from Pune. He is also arrested for conspiring to manipulate evidence, including swapping blood samples to protect his son. Shivani Agarwal, the boy's mother, she is arrested for allegedly providing her own blood sample in place of her son's to mislead investigators. In a desperate attempt to escape the charges, the boy's parents apply for bail. They argue their arrest was illegal and claim they acted out of panic, simply trying to protect their child. But the court rejects their plea. Their role in tampering with evidence cannot be ignored. Well, justice, it seems, will not be so easily swayed. The doctors involved Dr. Ajay Taure and Srihari Halnor. They betrayed their profession by accepting bribes and tampering with evidence. Dr. Ajay Taure, he was the former head of the forensic medicine department at Sassoon General Hospital. Dr. Taure already had a controversial past. He was removed twice from his position as medical superintendent at Pune's BJ Government Medical College. First for an alleged kidney transplant malpractice and later for his role in the Pune Porsche case. In May 2024, Dr. Taure was arrested for tampering with evidence in the Porsche case. The Maharashtra state government approved his prosecution. Sassoon General Hospital proposed his suspension, and the state government began the process to suspend his medical license. Dr. Srihari Halnor, at the time of the incident, he was the chief medical officer. Dr. Halnor was arrested alongside Dr. Taure for switching the blood samples of the juvenile involved in the accident. The Maharashtra state government approved his prosecution as well. Sassoon General Hospital terminated his services and the state government started the process to suspend his medical license. Currently, both Dr. Taure and Dr. Halnor are in jail, facing legal action for their role in the blood sample tampering. The Maharashtra Medical Council is reviewing their cases and their medical licenses remain suspended until the court gives its final decision. The charge sheet also reveals that Ashwat Makandar and Amar Gaikwad, acting as middlemen, helped facilitate financial transactions between the boy's parents and the doctors who agreed to falsify the blood samples. As the investigation deepens, the police uncover more suspects. Aditya Avinash Sood, Ashish Mittal, and Arun Kumar Singh. These three are interrogated face to face with the other accused to determine if they were involved in financial exchanges or had a role in influencing the doctors. Despite the growing number of charges, some accused, like the boy's parents, managed to get bail in other related cases. However, the blood swapping scandal, the attempt to hide the truth, remains the key charge that's keeping them in jail. Meanwhile, the court grants bail to the accused boy, despite public outrage. The Bombay High Court acknowledges the public anger, but firmly states that the law cannot be influenced by opinion. The judge highlights the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015, which states that minors cannot be treated as adults in criminal cases. The court declares that the boy had been detained illegally in a remand home and orders his release. However, the court doesn't let him off entirely. Recognizing his age and the complexities of the situation, the judge says the boy needs therapy and de-addiction counseling to address his behavior. This moment is critical. The law, in its firm and impartial manner, upholds its principles. The boy's future, though uncertain, now rests on this decision. Yet the case is far from over. as the investigation continues to expose deeper layers of corruption and cover-ups. And the plot continues to thicken. On December 4th, a special court in Pune grants police permission to interrogate all 10 jailed suspects. These include the minor's parents, Vishal Agarwal and Shivani Agarwal, 2 doctors from Sassoon Hospital, Dr. Ajay Tawre and Dr. Srihari Halnor, hospital staff member Atul Gatkambal, 2 middlemen, Ashfaq Makandar and Amar Gaikwad, 3 others, Aditya Sood, Ashish Mittal, and Arun Kumar Singh. The police remain determined to dig deeper into the case. Their relentless efforts to uncover the truth show no signs of slowing down. Now, there's hope that this case will send a strong message to the nation. There are real consequences for those who believe that their wealth and power can shield them from justice. Those who think money can buy their way out of any situation may finally be proven wrong. The Pune Porsche case is a harsh reminder of what happens when power and privilege collide with the lives of ordinary people. In India, wealth can buy silence, complicity, and sometimes even justice. Yet, this case also highlights the resilience of truth, investigative journalism, public outrage, and the relentless work of honest police officers ensured this tragedy wasn't buried under influence. Anish Awadhya and Ashwini Costa didn't deserve to die. Their dreams and futures were stolen from them. But this isn't just their story. It's about a system that needs to change. It's about road safety, accountability, and justice. If this story made you uncomfortable, if it made you question the system, good, because questioning is the first step towards change. The next time you see someone ignoring road safety, speak up. The next time you hear about a case like this, don't forget. If there's one lesson to take away, it's that we, the public, hold the power to demand accountability. And if you're still listening, remember this: roads are not playgrounds, and no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. Because as we say here on House of Crimes, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Thanks for tuning into another true crime story with us. If you like this episode, hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Until then, stay safe, stay alive.